Welcome to Wise Minds, Wild Hearts, the podcast for heart-led high achievers just like you, ready to take inspired action and achieve true alignment. If you're craving deeper influence, greater impact, and a life that genuinely lights you up, you're in the right place. I'm Kip Clark, former academic turned entrepreneur, transformational coach, elite athlete, and shameless fountain pen addict. Here, you'll learn how to leverage the beautiful wisdom of your years with the wild passion that drives you forward. Together, we'll break through those limiting beliefs, unlock the power of your subconscious mind, and create a life that aligns with your soul's desire. Ready to create the kind of impact you've always dreamed of? Let's do this. So let me ask you something. Have you ever pictured a future version of yourself where maybe you're fitter, you're wealthier, you're more successful, or you're more confident? It might be that you're soaring in your dream job or taking delight every day in your amazing relationship, radiating joy, or maybe it's waking up every morning with a boundless energy and an inspiring sense of purpose. Now, here's the real question. What if that future version of you could start guiding your actions today? In this episode, I'm going to go a little deeper into the topic I touched on in the last episode. So if you haven't listened to that one yet, why not go back and do that now and then come on and rejoin me on this one? You'll get so much more out of it that way. Okay, so if you're ready now, let's get into the second big game-changing concept I want to share with you, and this is inspired by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy, which is the interplay of your past, your present, and your future, and the ways your concept of your past self, your present self, and your future self actually work to create your results. Because as it turns out, most of us have had it backwards all along in terms of the way we conceive of our life's timelines and our identity. So here's a spoiler alert. It's your future self that holds the key to breaking free from any limiting beliefs and achieving your biggest goals. And a part of this discussion includes an exploration of why a growth mindset is exponentially better than a fixed mindset when it comes to creating transformation. So let's start by looking at your past. For many of us, our past selves quietly dictate how we show up today. So maybe you've had thoughts like, I've never been good at this particular thing in the past, so why bother now? Or I failed at launching that project or that program before, so what's the point of trying again? I don't want to go there again. Or maybe it's even a thought like, I didn't have the right upbringing, the right parents, the right education, the right opportunities, et cetera, to get ahead. And so that's why my life isn't where I want it to be. Now, here's the problem with this kind of thinking, the thinking that says, I am today who I am because of my past. When you're overly attached to your past, you reinforce what psychologist Carol Dweck calls a fixed mindset. And that's a belief that your abilities, your intelligence, your aptitudes, etc., they're all built in. You were born with them. But research shows that this mindset really limits your potential. And studies like Dweck's foundational work on fixed mindset versus growth mindsets reveal that people with a fixed mindset will tend to shy away from challenges and view setbacks as proof of their own inadequacy. So it'll be thoughts like, see, I wasn't good at that in the past, so it's not going to work for me now either. This is exactly the opposite perspective from what you need in order to achieve big goals. Now, let's move on to your present, because often your present self will seek out comfort and incremental progress or progress on a relatively small scale because you already know how to accomplish that. It's very familiar to you and therefore it feels comfortable. I mean, how many times have you thought to yourself, I'll work on that tomorrow, or I'm going to wait for that until I'm ready or until I get everything all lined up? It's so easy to fall into the trap of prioritizing immediate satisfaction or comfort over long-term growth. This smaller step thinking might feel safe to you now, just as it does to many people, but it's rarely transformative. So, what's the key here? Well, as I mentioned already, the key is your future self. But who is your future self? Now, according to Sullivan and Hardy, your future self isn't just a goal state that you're working towards, it's your guide. So this concept really flips traditional goal setting on its head, because instead of working towards something, you create your goal and then you start to live from your future self's perspective today. So I've often said to clients after we've gone through a powerful goal setting process that a goal is not something we work towards. A goal is something we live from right now. And here's what makes this so powerful. Neuroscience tells us that your brain doesn't differentiate much between vividly imagined experiences and the actual experiences themselves. So studies on visualization, like those involving world-class athletes, for example, show that imagining success activates the same neural pathways as actually achieving it or actually doing the thing. So when you clearly picture your future self's life, what you're doing, how you think, what you value, where you are, who you're with, what's around you in your environment, and so on, you start to rewire your brain to make that life your reality. But let's circle back to mindset here for a moment, because a fixed mindset would say, this is who I am today based on my past, and I'm going to use what I know now to work towards my goal, which is out there in the future. So my past creates who I am today, and my present will create who I'll become in the future. A growth mindset, on the other hand, embraces potential and change today. So a growth mindset says, this is who I get to be today because I've already accomplished this big goal I set for myself in the future, and I live from that place every day now. So this is a kind of mental flexibility or mental adaptability, and it's key to bridging the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Now, understand, I'm not saying that acting as if you've already achieved your goal state means you get to be irresponsible today. So, for example, if your goal state is to earn over $1 million this year after earning, say, $150,000 last year, spending wildly today as if you had already earned over $1 million, that would not be the way to go. So instead, what this perspective promotes is more about who you would be when you've achieved your goal state rather than what you're doing. So it's about asking yourself, what would my present self do today to align with my future self's vision? So this is about the qualities, the characteristics, the perspectives, the mindset you'd have once you achieve your goal, and then bringing them into play now, today, in everything you do. Now, one of the simplest ways to help you change your thinking about your life's timeline and your identity is to think of your past, your present, and your future as tools you can use to achieve what you want. So, your present self, rather than thinking your past has created who you are today, your present self gets to look back and reframe your life experiences in ways that actually serve you now, and especially in ways that will serve your future self. So you learn to see those previous experiences, even the unpleasant or traumatic ones, as gifts that help you rather than chains that hold you back. Now, we all already do this all the time anyway. We're always recreating the past, whether we retrieve a memory, we retell a story, or we dwell in any way about our past. Memory is never pure retrieval. It is always a reconstitution, a reconstruction, remembering. Remembering. The opposite of dismemberment. Dismemberment is taking apart. Rememberment or remembering is putting back together. But what we don't necessarily realize is that every time we retrieve a memory, we're creating something new, in that it's not exactly what occurred exactly as it happened. It's our best retelling of what occurred, and all the living we've done, all the intervening experiences we've had, the conversations with people, learning something new every day since the time of the event itself, even if that event was only last week, never mind years ago. All of those intervening experiences have changed our view of things. So we are never exactly the same person we were in our past, whether that's 50 years ago or 5 days ago or even 5 hours ago. I mean, chances are that even something you've heard me say here today has shifted something in you such that you'll never go back to being exactly the person you were before you heard it. We never stay the same. We're always either growing or decaying in one way or another. So why not choose growth and learn to use your past as a tool that supports you as you go for your goals? And then rather than using your present self to create your future self, your goal state, you imagine in full, vivid detail exactly what your goal state is and why it's important. And then you use the person you will be when you've achieved that, and you start making decisions from that perspective on everything you're doing today. So you're pulling your future self into today and you're living from that place. Now, let me share a quick story with you. I worked with a client a while ago who dreamed of becoming a confident public speaker. But at first she said to me, I'm not a natural speaker. I've never been good at it. Now that's the fixed mindset talking there. Hopefully you recognize that. But we went through a powerful goal setting process together, and she started imagining her future self walking onto stages with ease, being an engaging and dynamic public speaker and creating the kind of impact she really wanted to have. So she began to think and make decisions as if she were already that person today. She didn't wait to feel ready. She practiced. She stumbled a bit. I won't lie. That's normal. But she kept her focus locked on that future self, and she drew from that in every day and in all the decisions she was making, and she became the kind of public speaker she once thought was not possible for her. Now, let's talk a little bit about how you can bring your future self into the present. So just take a moment and ask yourself, what does your future self's daily life look like when you've achieved your goal state? What habits do you have? How do you think? How do you make decisions? Who do you surround yourself with? For example, if your future self is a thriving entrepreneur, picture your morning routine, your confidence in decision making, the kinds of conversations you have, the people you surround yourself with, the way you prioritize your time. Fill in as much of the detail as possible, and as always, really feel the feelings of being an accomplished and successful entrepreneur or artist or athlete, parent, healer, partner, whatever your dream is for your future self and your best life. Then once you've envisioned your future self as fully and completely as possible, then you ask, what can I do today to align with that vision? Even small actions matter. If your future self is a published author, start writing 3 pages a day. If your future self is a successful business owner, how would you spend your day? Remember, these actions don't have to be perfect. They just need to move you closer to your vision. And one thing that's really helped me at times with this is to write out an identity statement that guides my actions and my thinking. So for example, I've set a goal for myself this year to get my fitness back to an elite competitive level. So I've had a couple of surgeries over the past few years that have prevented me from training and competing at a level I love to be at. And I'm now ready to create a future self who is fit and strong and vibrant. So my identity statement is, I am an elite athlete and I work on my fitness and nutrition every day. Your identity statement might be something like, I am a compassionate and caring healer, and I make someone's life better every day. Or, I am a successful entrepreneur, and I make decisions that allow my business to grow every day. So you can see how even writing out a statement like that, posting it somewhere that you'll see it regularly, reading it, saying it out loud, this is one way that you start bringing your future self into today and allowing it to guide your thinking, your perspective, and your actions. Now, there's another process that kicks in at this point, and I'm going to go into that in more detail in the next episode. But for now, let me just share with you that it involves eliminating most of what you're doing now ideally up to 80% of what you're doing now. And yes, that's a really big percentage. That's way over half. That's over 3/4 even. In fact, if you typically do 10 things now in your business or whatever big project or goal you're focused on, you'll need to eliminate 8 of them. 8 of them. Yes. And again, I'm going to explain more thoroughly next time, but I'll just give you a little teaser here and say the reason eliminating 80% of what you're doing now is necessary is that you'll want to create a lot of space for what's possible to come in. And frankly, most of what's possible isn't going to be obvious to you yet. So this process requires faith, particularly faith in yourself and in your ability to make things happen, but also faith that the universe or source or God or whatever your particular belief system has at its core, and it requires some courage. Now, the good news is the space you create out of that is not just for new ways of being and doing. It will also create an opening for the right people to come in and help you out, the right circumstances to start appearing one way or another. Okay, so quick recap here. First of all, don't let your past define you today. Use your present self to redefine your past in a way that serves you. Focus on a growth mindset to focus on what's possible, not what's comfortable. And then bring your future self into the present by vividly imagining your goals, and then align who you're being today with that vision, along with all your decisions and your actions. So be sure to join me on the next episode where I'm going to lay out exactly how that 80-20 rule works, the Pareto principle, and how you can use it to create great leaps towards your goal. I'll see you in the next one. All right, my friends, that's it for this episode. If this has been helpful to you, let me know. I love to hear about all the positive changes you're making in your life. And if there's someone you know who might benefit from hearing this message, please share the love, my friend. See you next time on Wise Minds, Wild Hearts.